into you pitching a bit about Axle and what it is you guys are trying to achieve.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have all of you with us. This recording will also be made available on Facebook for you to share with your friends and family after this. So yeah, I'm Sahib from Lead Capital, and Lead Capital is an equity crowdfunding platform. We just went live earlier this year, and we've completed 2 of our deals already. And now we've got Axle Sports, who's just gone live on Lead Capital. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to explain a lot about Axle because we've got Alex here to talk about that. So Alex, take it away.
Right. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, thank you, Sahib. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Yoong, and I'm here to talk to you about Axle Sports. Most of you will know me as the ex-F1 driver, and I have been a driver in the 30+ years I've been in motorsports. But I also do have a background in events and management. As a kid, I used to sell popcorn at the Royal London Circus, to race management at Shah Alam when we looked after the Bottega racetrack, which included bringing MotoGP to Malaysia. Also from music concerts to Disney on Ice. So there is a bit of management that I have done. I was also head of driver development for Team Lotus and Caterham Formula One from 2010 to 2012. Now, but I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about Axle Sports. Axle Sports was founded 12 years ago, and we built and raced cars all around the region. But in that time, motorsports has changed a great deal. Costs and lack of opportunities are huge barriers of entry, which prevents young talent from being part of it, especially in the region. As such, I started looking at progressive avenues into the industry and how we cultivate talent in Asia. One of our key selling points today is our sim racing competitions and, of course, our academy, which provide an entry point at a much lower cost, but with the same training provided to racing talent in Europe. So what exactly are we selling? We're selling dreams, but dreams that can be achieved because we believe that the next Asian motorsport champion is camped out in the bedroom playing a racing video game. So how do we help them do that? Well, let's have a quick look at how we help them achieve those dreams. I love that last shot there, that guy with the helmet on with a happy face. That was Mio Hafiz, our winner in 2019. And those were his very first laps at Sepang, even though he'd done thousands of laps virtually, a real star in the making. So we help our young racing talent get to the level they need to compete in a real race car with our vision called Virtual Reality, which comes in 3 parts. The first is a series of sim racing or e-racing competitions that act as an entry point to anyone with an internet-connected device. These competitions are streamed online and broadcast live, thus also providing entertainment for the masses. Part 2 involves a racing academy, or our actual Axle Academy, which then trains the sim drivers for the competitions. And the academy will also come with means that anyone with an internet-connected device can also learn the basics of driving and then continue with classes of the academy. So we have people even not only just on PCs, but also on mobile phones. We get from complete beginners to pro sim drivers come for coaching. Some who want to be professionals and some who just want to learn a new skill, just like you would for music classes or kickboxing lessons. And finally, the third element, which is the best of the best are trained to race in a real race car in some of the most prestigious competitions in Asia, such as Porsche Carrera Cup or Formula 4, or a variety of local racing here in Malaysia. There is quite a bit of good racing here, although there's still only one circuit at Sepang. So what is the problem? Why are we deciding to do this? Well, to solve a couple of things. Firstly, the fact that although esports is growing at an exponential rate around the world, especially in Asia, as you can see from the graph, and the numbers on these slides. However, there's no single platform for sim races. There are a few races here and there. It's quite fragmented. And I'm proud to say that I think we've done a really good job to try and show that we can do that. And secondly, as a former racer myself, I know that even just an entry point into motorsports costs a lot, and it's somewhat reserved for the privileged. So, solving the problem. We solve the problem by developing a regional sim racing competition that provides not only world-class entertainment, but more importantly, gives sim racers a progressive platform which enables them to become real-life motorsport champions. We do this through our competitions, our educational app, and our academy. And I really have to emphasize that we're the only ones doing this, where we have the competitions and the academy and the whole framework, the whole landscape planned out. And I don't even see anyone doing this on a global level either. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about our sim racing competition. It's called eRacing GP, and why we saw the potential in it 2 years ago. Firstly, it fills a gap. A majority of esports tournaments focus on popular first-person shooter games like Dota, League of Legends, etc., where there are very few platforms for sim races. It makes racing accessible. Anyone with an internet-connected device can race. And more important, unlike first-person shooter games, or even FIFA, skills picked up while sim racing are actually transferable to real life. And we can demonstrate that it's been done. These guys are really good when they get to real life. They're better even than real drivers. And of course, such major players like IOC, the Olympics, are recognizing sim racing over the most violent games. Who knows? Maybe we'll be the first esports into the Olympics one day. With tournaments like ours, we are growing yet another regional initiative, and we've seen success stories with such regional players such as AFF, Suzuki Cup, and One Championship. And finally, this is what I really want to do. I want to grow a new base of motorsport talent in Asia. Our tournaments now give young Asians, male or female, the chance to explore an opportunity once reserved for the privileged few. So let's have a look at our journey so far. So in 2008, we launched eRacing GP with Hong Kong. We brought it home in 2019 with an on-the-ground competition in Malaysia. All races were streamed live on Facebook, with the finals carried on EGG, a regional gaming network. And of course, Fox Sports Asia also carried us too. Then COVID hit the world this year, so we had to quickly pivot. We moved our competitions online with a small studio based at my home here in KL. And we've run just over, actually, 250 races since March. And just over a month ago, we started something pretty cool with EGG and Astro, where they partnered with us to launch our own top-tier sim racing tournament called E1 Championship that will continue in 2021. So this is where teams pay big entry fee to receive prize money. We've had 22 drivers compete in this first season, 10 teams. And the great thing about doing it online is we can remind people how exciting motorsports is. Because it is exciting, we can curate exciting motorsports. Traditional motorsports has got very boring over the last 20 years. It's hardly watchable because we always know what the result's going to be. Just because the manufacturers, the winners write the rules, and it makes it very hard for the small boys to compete. But we don't have to worry about that in esports. We can do reverse grids. We can throw surprises up last minute. The best drivers still win, but they have to work harder for it. And that's what's so great about E1 and ERGP. The competitions are so exciting to watch. Okay, so who watches us? Well, our target audience from the past competitions on ground and online, we know that 80% of our audience is between the ages of 18 and 44. It's very useful data when it comes to wooing sponsors, as we know there's some spending power in that audience. Now you can see all these other numbers. I won't go into detail, let them speak for themselves. It's not small numbers. These numbers are pretty good. I mean, we can't quite compete yet with the bigger esport games, but I believe we can get there because we have so many more advantages over them. Now, we do it. How do we race the game? This is the big question. And we do it by giving sim racers a platform to progress. Our first eRacing GP winner, Mio Hafiz, represented Malaysia in the inaugural FIA Motorsport Games in Rome and finished 8th overall. He was the top Asian. We had to get him a passport to go to Rome. You know, he doesn't travel very much. And there was a lot of learning along the way, but finished in the top 10 in a world championship was mega. And of course, he also tested a single-seater car just this year once COVID had ended. Did pretty good, did a 2-minute 14 around Sepang. And that was his first ever laps around Sepang as well, just one day. And of course, our runner-up in the first global edition, a chap named Nakib Azlan, has also joined real race car drivers to compete in the 24 Hours of Le Mans virtual that was held earlier this year in replacement of the actual 24 Hours of Le Mans. And we have a couple of our drivers that we coach who have gone into real race cars, and they're now even big programs like the Toyota Gazoo Racing. Two of them are actually in Toyota Gazoo Racing Talent Development Program, Nakib Aslan and Mika Hakimi. And these guys are the future. They are seriously, seriously good. With that all said and done, there's still a lot of room for growth. So our future plans include a roadshow with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We are obviously talking to them and also other potential sponsors. This was going to happen actually this year in 2020, but we had to can it. And when the world allows us to travel again, we will resume on-the-ground competitions around Southeast Asia. In 2020, we had Philippines done, we had KL done, and we had Singapore almost done. So we would have had 3 competitions this year on the ground, but obviously COVID put an end to that. We're having conversations with all these countries. Vietnam is especially interesting because they don't have an e-racing background yet, but they're very keen, So we talked to the SEA Games organizers. Okay, it's too late for the SEA Games, but F1 is going there, and there's lots of opportunities there. Now, these competitions where we discover new talent, and Axle Academy is where we train and nurture them. And actually, it goes both ways as well. We often get a lot of walk-ins come who we train and nurture, and then we put them into the competitions as well. The Academy is also open to the public, so anyone interested in learning to drive a race car can learn to do so at our simulators. We now have, I think, over 80, almost 100 students from the ages of 80 to 60. Sorry, from ages of 8 to 60, not 80. We provide world-class coaching for all levels with all classes that start as low as 150 ringgit a class. And yes, I've personally written the syllabus myself because all throughout my years of training drivers, I realized about how so much of it was being done wrongly. If you want to go and learn how to drive a car, you have to spend 4,000, 8,000 euro a day with a top team, and they'll teach you properly. Or you can go to a driving school that maybe out of the way circuit in the middle of nowhere and learn the very basics. But there's nothing in between. There's nothing that goes from A to Z. That's what we do. And because we have the experience of actually driven all these cars in these games, we've done Formula One, we've done Le Mans, we've done NASCAR, IndyCar, we've done ovals, we've done racing on every continent of the world. We know what works in the real world and what doesn't work. So when we go in the sim games, we can curate different games and work on different things. We can pull out data logging. We can do race classes, so they learn racecraft and stuff. So it's quite exciting how we can do everything from high end to low end. We bridge that gap, those gaps. So these are the revenues, revenue streams, and so while sim racing competitions and academy both exist, the opportunities are boundless. There are a lot of things that we are going to be doing, and that will come online as we go along. And of course, we all started this off in 2019, but unfortunately, a pandemic hit, and you can see that that's just a fact of life this year. But it will pick up. We're also very fortunate that some people already believe in our dream and have put their faith in us. On the right, you'll see some of our existing partners. And the brands on the bottom row actually sponsored the very first e-racing GP in Malaysia held last year. So here's the fun part. How much investment are we looking for? We're looking for between 800 to 1.6 million. It's not really that much. We just need to grow our team. We need to make our mobile app better. We need to do some stuff for our road shows, a little bit more on business development and stuff like that, because we're a very small team right now. Our overheads are very low, but if we want to grow, we need to keep moving. We have a first movers advantage. We are perfectly positioned in the market, but for sure there are going to be people copying us, so we can't afford to sit still. And here, look at some of the financials. Obviously, 2021 is going to be a slow year, so we have to be realistic about that. It will start slowly, but I believe it will pick up, and I believe we are perfectly placed for when it does. So why us? Well, a few good reasons. We have a tried and tested model. We've already run sim racing competitions on ground and online, so we know how to do it both ways and cheaply. And the Axle Academy is operational. We've also already put a sim racer into a real car. We've actually done it 3 times now. And we are the first in the region to launch such a program. As I explained before, we fill a gap in the sim racing and motorsport communities, and we solve problems. A problem, especially about getting more people into these industries. Also, virtual reality is not just a belief, but one based on proven case studies. If I had more time, I'd tell you about them. You can always reach out and we can talk about them in more detail. We develop young Asian talent. We take them off the street. We put them into sims. And there's just so much untapped revenue in sim racing in the region. So in conclusion, let's just not forget about this one. We're selling dreams to all you motorsport lovers, especially the aspiring motorsport champions. And we need your help to make them come true. Thank you. That's me done. Any
Great.
questions?
Thank you, Alex. We've got a lot of questions in the chat.
Okay.
You know, guys, also feel free to unmute yourselves and ask your questions. Speak out your questions to Alex if you prefer as well. So, Alex, the first question we have is, what's the cost of joining ERGP for aspiring racers?
Well, let me just put this back on. Just so we all have it there. Sorry, say that again.
What's the cost of joining ERGP for aspiring racers?
Free. ERGP is free. So we use Race Room, which is a great game, and Race Room is actually free to download as well. It's free to download, but obviously if you want to get nicer cars, nicer tracks, then you have to buy them. But you need a PC for that. So Race Room is great for that because it really takes care of the guys beginning to the guys very experienced. And if you join our competitions and you come in at the bottom ones like copper and bronze, the settings are such that you can win with a keyboard and a mouse. So you don't even need to buy a wheel. Or if you've got a phone, you can attach it through Bluetooth to your PC or your laptop and use it as a steering wheel and a brake and a throttle. So for the lower levels, it's excellent to learn. So then you can decide, okay, well, if I want to get better and I want to get to a high level, then you come against the pros where the settings are more realistic. Then you have to start looking at buying wheels, and then obviously the cost will escalate. Now, E1 Championship, however, that is quite a big entry fee. The entry fee for that per team is 3,000 USD, but that's because it's the creme de la creme, and it's with the production cost. The production is very good, and it goes across all the EGG networks. I think our last race we had 40,000 concurrent viewers around the region in E1. So that's why the entry fees for E1 are expensive. ERGP is, hey, we do this from my studio here in the house, and it's more about building the community. And because it's about building the community, we try and keep the entry costs to as cheap as possible.
Okay, cool. So just to clarify then, Alex, your physical events are also free?
On the ground last year in 2019, we did charge entry fees. I think it was $100. But the prize was really good. The prize money was good. And of course, you got to drive a real race car. Mio Hoflis, he won, I think 15,000 ringgit in cash. And the test at Sepang in the Formula Renault car cost 4,000 euros. So there was a really big prize. So yeah, some competitions where the prize is really big, we will charge entry fees. But for the online ERGP competitions we're doing right now, we keep it as cheap as possible.
And I mean, Alex, just to ride on the coattails of what you said about Mio, I think it's a really, really nice story how Mio went from the Milo seller to the of this competition. Could you share a bit about that with everyone?
Okay, Mio is very cool. He's 30 years of age, and he just loves racing. So he practices a lot. So yeah, he sells Milo outside a school in Puchong. So he's a street vendor, and he doesn't have much. He's not that exposed to outside his sim racing community. So he won that first competition with us. He did a really good job. So we took him to Italy. That wasn't in the prize, but we thought, right, Motorsport Games is coming on. The fine sponsors would take him to Italy. And it was tough, He'd never been to Europe before. It was a lot for him to to take on board, but he did a really good job. We coached him well, and he finished 8th, and there were 30 countries showed up for that. So, and you had all the best GT sport countries were there. So to finish 8th was really good.
I think that's fascinating. Really virtual to reality.
Yeah.
The next question, Alex, we have is from Mustafa, who asks, is Malaysia and Southeast Asia the right market for this?
Definitely. Because if we were in Europe, it'd be very hard. It's saturated. Europe is saturated. Even though no one in Europe is doing what we're doing it slightly different. And people are recognizing this because I got Mexico and Canada who've made inquiries in what we're doing. But Europe is saturated. So trying to make a noise there is really tough. Here in Southeast Asia, I see the love for motorsports. The love for motorsports is that when the motorsports comes on, people are instantly transfixed, but then they turn away because traditional motorsports is boring, other than MotoGP. But car racing is, I commentate in Formula One, and it's hard to follow sometimes. But the racing is exciting. And in the past, people would always ask me, how do I get into motor racing? And I'd be like, okay, well, go-karting, but it's really expensive. Now I can say sim racing straight away. Sim racing. If you have a Xbox or a PlayStation, you can get onto a lot of great games on the console. Obviously, the better simulator games are on PC. So if you have a PC, even better, or a laptop. So it's not 100% inclusive. It's not like you just need a phone, but it's getting there. And we are working on a mobile app to try and to do that as well. So yeah, I really do believe Southeast Asia is the right market. Also, I'm very strong here because of my commentary in Formula One, and because I was the first Formula One driver from the region in the modern era. I'm well known in all these countries, so I can easily go into each country, make the connections, and get good traction. So that's what I have traction in all these countries, and that's why Southeast Asia, I think, is a good market for us.
Brilliant. The next question is also about the academy, and Mustafa asks, how many levels of the syllabus are there, and what is the average age of the students who come to your academy?
Okay, so we get a lot. Average age, I would say high teens. We've got a lot of 6 to 12-year-olds coming in recently, because everyone loves motorsports, especially that age. You always want to be a race car driver or an astronaut. So the parents are like, okay, let's go to the academy. And at first I wasn't so keen to get the kids because I do a proper coaching, with data and graphs and stuff. So you really understand. And I thought, well, abstract thought, you'd only really develop abstract thought as a 12-year-old. So I thought below 12 might be difficult, but they're so keen to come. So we just coach them in a different way. And it's just more hands-on, I guess, not so much theoretical, but it still works out really well. As for the syllabus and the different levels, we're figuring it out at the moment. At the moment, we got beginner, intermediate, advanced, and semi-pro, 4. And then there's pro, which is the 5th one. Now, pro I've already done. I've done it with drivers who are actual Formula One drivers or have IndyCar 500 champions. Alex Rossi was someone that I worked with, and he's Indy 500 champion. Did Formula One, I think, one race or something. So, and a lot of the other drivers. So we've done pro before, but we're not doing pro in the academy yet. That's kind of different. But we do the beginners, intermediates. We've done advanced courses for a few drivers, and these are professional sim drivers that are winning in championships around the region. So we've done 4 of them. The semi-pro one, we haven't done any one yet, but that will involve a little bit of sim and a bit of track time as well. We're just trying to find the right partners to make it as cheap as possible, so we can really do from nothing to everything. People keep saying to me, are sim drivers as good as real drivers? And I was like, yeah, they can be as good. And I look at the case studies, and I have my own experience, but now I've changed my opinion. Sim drivers are much better than real drivers. This is what's happening because we coach them so well. We got a lot of the real drivers that come and see us, and when they do, they've done a lot of hours at Sepang, but they also end up coming to us with bad habits, because even though they go to Sepang a lot, even if you go to Sepang for a whole day, you might do 20 laps at the most. In 1 hour with us, you probably do about 50 or 60 laps. So we can do so much or more on the sim, and we can change games to work on different things and different cars and different tracks. And because I've done it in real life, and the instructors who work with us have done it in real life, we know what to work on. We say, okay, what you're doing there, I know it works in this game. It does not work in real life, so you need to stop doing that. Or if we get some track day guys who've never done sim racing, we say, okay, listen, this thing you're doing with your hand, you can get away with it in a 1.6 touring car. It would never work in any other car. So we want to work on your to get rid of that bad habit. And then we can work on the sim. And because you're next to them constantly, you're saying, okay, you're doing it again. So just working on it. So I'm really excited by the academy. I actually think the academy, it's still early days. We've only been doing it for 6 months. We started in July. So it's paying for itself. And its projections are not in the financials yet because we've only been doing it 6 months, but it's paying for itself right now, and we're making a small profit. But imagine if we could have an academy in every population center in Southeast Asia. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
The next question, Alex, is from Daniel, who asks, what would be the advertising cost for an event? So I'm guessing for sponsors.
What would be the what? Sorry.
What would be the advertising cost for an event for sponsors and the likes of that?
Depends. Obviously with E1, I think it ranges from oh, don't quote me on this. I think it's like 20,000 USD to 60,000 USD. But we depends on how much the overheads are. Like on our online competitions on ERGP, we've had some sponsors come in and we've only been doing small amounts, 10, 20,000 ringgit. But on the ground events, where it's, you know, a big show in a shopping mall like we did in 2019, then obviously the costs go up a lot more. So we can cater to every level basically.
Great. Yeah, so this feeds into the next question. Mustafa asks, have you raised funds before this? And who are the biggest competitors in the market?
Okay, so with the biggest competitors in the markets are ones that do real racing. SRO, so you'd have to say they are our biggest competitors right now. I'm glad they're here though, because we need more professional drivers, more professional championships in it, because I believe they bring other people into it and they help us and we help them. But the SRO is a Stefan Rattel organization. They are a real life organization that do GT3 in the region. And they do a really good job with their show. I don't think it's as good as ours, but it's still a really good job. And it's all done in Europe. Huh? It's all done in Europe. We do everything here, which is a big strength for us. They're all foreign commentators, foreign organizers, foreign everything, but they do a good job. And they're basically in the market because they run the only GT3 championship in Asia at the moment. So GT3 cars are very expensive cars. They're only for the rich and famous. If you want to go race GT3 cars, you need to spend about 900,000 euros. Yeah, forget about it. So they've started a championship online to cater for those drivers. And they have another category for sims. So they have what they call the pro categories for the drivers who drive their real life cars who are not driving this year because of COVID, and they have another category for sims. I don't really like that because it says this is us, this is them, and the sims are kind of held at arm's length. I just want everyone to join. So I reach out to them on the motorsport community because I know them and I get them to join our championships. But I also reach out to the sim drivers and I try and draw them in as well. And I just mix them up. I want the best drivers. Eventually, the real life drivers will realize that they're not as good as the sim drivers and that they'll need to do more sim racing. And it would just all become one. It's just a matter of time. It's just so much more cheaper to do it. The people some of the drivers, there are some drivers who don't really like coming to sim driving. And so that some of them, they tend to be a bit older and maybe they can't deal with the depth perception, because the depth perception does take a while to get used to when you first jump onto a sim. But pretty much all the youngsters are involved. They're all loving it. They're all racing. So the years are coming together. But at the moment, the coming together of both sides, the real motorsport world and the sim world, we're the only ones doing it, and we're the only ones with an academy.
Then the next question, Alex, is from Joshua, who asks, how do you, is there a market for this? I think piggybacking the other question earlier. And also,
okay.
How do you reach and tap the Malaysian market?
Sorry, the last bit?
How do you reach and tap the Malaysian market?
Okay, well, that's why we need some help. First, the market is anyone that's interested in motorsports. And when I say it like that, I say it's huge. If you ask me what's the market right now, who drives right now, the market's very small. It is very small. People that actually race, and the problem with motorsport in the region is it hasn't really grown in the last 30 years. But everyone that comes into contact with this is like, oh, wow, I didn't realize, hey, my son wants to do this. Hey, my cousin wants to do this. And they always bring people who are interested in motorsports. So my market basically is anyone that's looked at motorsport and goes, oh, wow, that's exciting. I'd like to try that. And so the market, I think, potentially is very big. But we are first movers. And the problem with being first mover is I don't have the data to say the market is exactly this. I don't know it. I don't know. But that's a part of being a first mover. And I believe the market is big. The academy is picking up really well. We every weekend when we host our races on Saturday, we get about 100 drivers vying to compete. Well, no, actually more than 100 drivers, but about 95 drivers compete every Saturday. So they're doing it every Saturday. The good thing about e-racing as well is the retention. The problem with esports is retention is always a problem. the players will move on to different games. But racers stay in the racing game. It takes a bit longer to get up to speed. It can take as long as 10 years to get up to speed. One of our drivers, though, Nakib, he's only been doing it 2 years, and he's already world class. So it can be really short, depending on how long it takes you. And the problem with sim racing in the past was there wasn't enough new blood coming in. But I can promise you now, we got a lot of new blood coming in. Like I said, a lot of 6 to 12-year-olds coming down to our academy. Our last ERGP race, an 11-year-old won it. He won the top tier, the gold tier. An 11-year-old Singaporean won it. He drove fantastically. I was blown away. So because we've been doing this year, we're now seeing a lot of young talent coming in. So we're getting over that problem. I think we are seeing that it's definitely the beginning of a rising rate for me. But if you want actual numbers, I can't really give them to you.
Yeah, and I think it's
anyone that watches Formula One, dude.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating how you've really brought it to people's bedrooms. And you can be anywhere in the world, just in your bedroom, and you can be competing with someone else.
Yeah. So we focus in ERGP in Asia Pacific because I don't want to deal with someone from Finland getting disconnected because of bad ping because the connection's too far. So I want to and also because I'm from here, I want to focus on here, and I want to give these guys a heads up. But I get a lot of inquiries from different countries. Like I said, Canada and Mexico. Mexico are very keen for us to take this there. But obviously, I'm keeping these discussions at arm's length first because I don't want to just give something to someone when I've not been there and then suddenly they take it and run. Because at the moment, it's a very unique idea. So I have to be very careful. But there's another reason why we're doing this also is the business development. I think the market is there, but we need to make more efforts with social media and the marketing to penetrate those markets. A bit like how music schools do, where they spend money on that. We're a very small team. I've invested all my money into this. So that's how committed I am to it. But we need the funds to grow the team so we can do more business development, more sponsorship and marketing.
Fantastic. The next question is from Sun Fwan, who asks, are there any corporate guarantees or personal guarantees for your ECF campaign?
The only guarantee is the one I just gave you. I got all my money in it. I'm here for the long haul. I very much believe in the vision. I believe motorsports is exciting. I believe the educational side of it is very interesting. And we're not bleeding money. We are very small. Like we said, 3 people full-time and 4 instructors on part-time. And we have partnerships with our rigs. We have partnerships with our office space. So our overheads are very low. And it's just growing. We had deals set up for this year. Our projections are based on our on-the-ground competitions we had set up for this year and the ones we did last year in 2019. So those will come back online again. Maybe not the first half of next year. We're talking about second half of next year. I'm confident. But yeah, you see, we're not an established business. I can't say this is guaranteed because we don't have previous data to go back on.
Cool. And just for the benefit for those who have just joined us, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or put your question.
Sure.
We're going through the Q&A with Alex right now. So Alex, the next question is then from Daniel, who asks, are there any unique selling points compared to other e-wallets, esports, for example, Mobile Legends, Dota, etc.?
Okay, so one of the unique selling points is what we're doing. If you look around, I've had some feedback for some of the other esport, because for me, the market, I'm trying to penetrate the esport market as well. They're a very important market. It's dynamic. The money's there. The numbers are there. I think one of our unique selling points is we do a very professional broadcast. We keep our players very happy. They keep coming back. Obviously, another one is myself. I'm well known within the region, so I can just pick up the phone and call people and ask for favors or get stuff done. And I can penetrate those markets. And so that the standard of the competitions, the broadcast partners we have, so we can reach out better than any other, just as good as any other esport, better than any other e-racing sport. There's myself, and of course the academy. The fourth one is the academy. It's the one that excites me a lot. We've started doing online classes as well, and that will make things really scalable. Still figuring it out. Still figuring out costs for online classes and how we do it, and do we do it in a big group or small group, and we can do it in both. But that will, online competitions and online classes is very, very scalable, obviously.
Great. And then the second question Daniel asks is, are there any possibilities of working or collaborating with top race car manufacturers like BMW, Mercedes, Renault, or Red Bull Racing?
Yeah, I can't disclose that right now, but yes, we had one signed up for this year already, and obviously, with COVID, we were like, sorry. So we're gonna try and do it again next year, but I can't disclose it. Yes, so those things are happening. What was I gonna say? Yeah, those partnerships are happening, and I'm not even ruling out talking with the big boys. I've been talking with Formula One as well. Formula One are keen for me. I had a conversation with them about 9 months ago. They were keen to do, because the esport thing in Formula One doing is doing very well. And yes, actually, they're also a competitor, but for me, they're a competitor on a worldwide level. And I do pay attention to them because I want to go global. I definitely want to go global with this, but it's nice to start here in Southeast Asia, make ourselves strong here, and then go global. So Formula One is a competitor, but I do talk to them because they were keen for me to do Southeast Asia. So take over Formula One esports and do it here in Southeast Asia. And I haven't ruled it out, but obviously the costs they want for it are huge, astronomical, and we don't own it. So I'd rather focus my attention on this. We own this, and it's going really well. We have very good traction. If Formula One came here, yeah, okay, everyone knows Formula One. They'd come in with a big bang, but would it be much bigger than the noise we're making right now? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, there's a huge overlap in the markets then, and as you mentioned earlier, you've got the first mover advantage now. So
yeah,
I think it's definitely a great position you're in right now. The next question, Alex, is from Celine, who asks, what about aspiring racers who are not fit? On the simulator, they've been doing really well, but when it comes to actual real life racing, you've got to withstand stuff like G-force, and it's not really as comfortable as it is in the simulator. So how do these people cope with that?
Okay, so yes, a lot of these esport guys are unfit. They hardly leave the room. But people really underestimate how determined these guys are. The reason why we didn't test Muir on a single seater straight away was because he wasn't fit enough. He would never have lasted a couple laps. So we had to spend a few months getting him stronger. We put him in the gym. Our partner, Rehamed in Subang Jaya, looked after him, did a really good job getting him strong. Then we were going to test him beginning of the year. COVID happened, so we had to wait till the MCO lifted. So he got into a car and he was fine, absolutely fine, no problem. People underestimate how determined these guys are. You give them the opportunity to hit the gym, say, hey, you want to do it? You do this. They're there every day, just like they're there at the computer every day. They're fanatical about it. They're obsessed about it. And that's why you need to be a world-class athlete. Passion's not enough. You need to be obsessed. And these guys are obsessed. They just need the right direction, the right coaching, the right outlet, and they'll do it. And then I just mentioned Nakib, Aslan, and Mika Hakimi, our drivers who have been picked up by Toyota. They're in the gym every day. Well, not every day, but 4 times a week, and twice a Rehamed and twice on themselves. So they're putting in the hours already, like they are professional athletes. And this is them just beginning. They're going to keep getting better and better and better and better. So I'm not worried at all about the fitness levels of if someone comes to me and he's thin and frail but he's winning, I know he's winning because he's putting in 20-30 hours a week on the sim. That sort of determination, I just have to refocus it into the gym and give him a bit of time, and he's there, or her. Hopefully her. We need more females in the sport.
Definitely. And the next question, Alex, we've got 2 more questions left. So, if anyone else wants to ask any more questions, please drop them in the chat.
Sure.
The next question is again from Daniel, who asks, is there any chance for those with disabilities or handicaps to race in simulators?
Yeah. And that's what I love about esports. It's such an equalizer for everyone. We have, I don't know of anyone with a physical disability driving or sim at the moment, but we have some very overweight guys who, but they're doing a fantastic job. But yeah, so depends how disabled they are, but if they're mildly, absolutely no problem. If it's just a case of turning a wheel sometimes or moving a phone, depends what the limitations are. But yes, I love the fact that we can get disabled people into our sport. Maybe they might not be able to get into a Formula One car, but they can get into the world-class level sim racing. And sim racing is just going to go like this and like this. And right now, everyone wants to get into a real race car. But in 10 years from now, I got a feeling most people might want to just stay in the sim world.
Yeah, and for a female agenda, we've got a strong supporter in Sun On Fan who says that your company needs female investors.
We do. My partner's, the only partner I have is a woman named Jo de Rosario. She's Malaysian, based in Singapore. Yeah, she did the pitch deck for us. You know, she's the brains behind. She smooths over everything. And yes, we do need more females in the sport as well. That's why at the academy, actually, we don't charge females. At the moment, we have a couple that are coming in, but the numbers aren't enough. So I've told any woman who's interested in the sport, maybe you're one of them. If you want to come down to the academy and drive, no charge, man. At the moment, there's no charge for females who want to drive. We need more of them in the sport.
Very cool. Yeah, and Sunan Fund also asks, what is the exit plan for the company then? How do you see investors being able to liquidate 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road?
Okay, so I really want to. So this is the global. When do we go global? You see, so here I think we're going to be consolidating Asia Pacific next year in 2021. But I actually think we can start going global quite early. So we really want to look at the next round of funding 2 years from now when we start going global. Then obviously, hopefully, if we do global and we go really well, then we go IPO at some stage. But the plans is very much to go global. Take from that what you can, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's not fun. Catch you at the IPO.
Yeah.
And Alex, we've got one final question.
Yeah.
Daniel, who asks, is the race app available? The Axle Motorsport app, which was scheduled for release end of this year.
Okay, so the Race Room app is available, and that's great. And because we got a good partnership with Race Room, we can always do stuff with them. Oh, sorry, actually, no, it hasn't gone live yet. It's ready for live, but for some reason they haven't gone live. They actually went live and then they took it off again for a reason I can't disclose. But it's up and working. Our Axle app, we're working on it right now. We've actually this close to getting funding from MDEC, but we've already started work on it as well. It's like a normal driving app, like Race Room's app, but there's an educational aspect of it. So it's half and half. So half of it is educational. So the stuff we learn in the academy, the very basic stuff, the lift, coasting, the braking, lines, we are actually putting it into an educational app in the game. So it's another segment of the market we're talking to a few other investors on is the pre-license market, pre-driving licensing market, because there are a lot of things you learn in racing in the very beginning stage, which applies to real road, whether you drive in the wet or safety driving or awareness of your surrounding. So potentially we could start doing pre-driving license courses for kids or anyone who before they actually get into the proper driving schools, because the driving schools are very painful right now, and we are looking at that because, hey, China's starting to go virtual for their driving lessons as well, and I think it's about time we start doing it as well, and we'd like to be part of that.
So from my understanding, then the app is basically an extension of the academy itself as well.
Yeah, it's trying to bring the e-racing side and the academy side together. And it's important that we have it on the app, because at the moment we're not a game developer. I don't want to be a game developer. There are a lot of good games out there, and the cost to be a game developer, it's huge. It's huge, and there are good games. It's competitive ready. However, being in the mobile app market and the gaming market is an important thing to be, and that's why we are working very hard on the app. The first version will be this. It'll be part racing game, part educational. But what about version 2 and 3? And that's where I'm excited with 5G around the corner in a couple of years, 3-4 years, and the computing power getting higher in a mobile phone. That's why we need to be there at this stage. I don't need it all singing, dancing at the moment, because it's going to change as the technology changes, and that's a very exciting segment. So we are pushing very hard in that, and that's why we also need this round of funding to complete the app.
We've got a final question, Alex. Will the IPO be in Malaysia or will it be in the US?
Will what be in Malaysia? Sorry.
Will your IPO be in Malaysia or will it be elsewhere, overseas?
Oof, I haven't thought that far along, to be honest. This has been a busy year for me. I haven't thought that far along. I'm really hoping that I have been reaching out for people for advice, some very good business leaders for advice, but actually that's not one subject we've covered.
Brilliant. I think that just about wraps up our conversation today. We've got another question from Daniel. Sorry. Any chance of seeing your son race someday?
He is. He was winning in Formula 4 last year. He's been doing a lot of sim racing this year because there's been nothing else to do. And he's getting pretty good, actually. He is good, actually. He wants to do the real life racing. And he'll have to wait until this pandemic clears or we get the vaccinations going.
Brilliant. We've got another question from Sunan Fun again, asking, do you have a daughter Do you have a daughter race?
A daughter race? You mean like a female only race?
I assume so.
Not enough female participants. We are thinking of hosting a night just for female drivers at the academy, because I think a lot of them would prefer to come down if that was the case. It's less daunting for them. But yeah, I would love to get to a stage where we could have dads and daughters or mums and daughters sort of racing and stuff. Watch this space in 3 months. I mean, now things have been easing up again. The number of youngsters coming into the academy is going at quite a high rate. So I think I'll have some pretty good answers to those sort of questions in 3 months from now.
Cool, and we look forward to that. Alex, that I think just about wraps up our session today.
Cool. Thanks very much for having us. I'm in it for the long term. Yes, I want to the main priority is to make money from this. And yes, we've seen a gap in the market, but it's completely driven by my passion for the sport and the esport, and also my own money. It's all in it. So the commitment is 110 there.
Fantastic. Yeah. So please head over to the website over here, bit.ly/leadcapitalaxle, or scan the QR code to put down your investment. And thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thanks so much, Alex, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you, and it's been a pleasure having everyone else join us today and asking us all the questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the great questions.
Great. Have a lovely day ahead.
Bye-bye.